I'm here with Chapter 4 of What If Goku and Broly Merged. I hope you do enjoy. 6 years later, 6 long years have gone by since Kami left to his home planet of Namek. Much has changed since then. Goku had become a true guardian to the planet. He has taken his role very seriously. Unlike Kami and the previous Guardians of Earth, Goku has taken a hands-on approach to his role as Guardian. He had decided to interfere, seeing the weakness of the human race. Both in technological advancement and physical weakness, Goku went throughout the Earth in a demonstration of power. First he approached the President of Earth and told him of his origins. Goku then made clear his intentions to rule the planet and unite the human race. He faced quite a bit of opposition at first, but with a strong intellect, the backing of the richest and most technologically advanced company on Earth, Capsule Corp, and by making it clear that he would not take no for an answer, he finally united mankind and was crowned the king of the human race. In the past 6 years, Goku had taken to train the strongest humans on Earth, making a group he dubbed the Z Warriors. They were Tien, Chiatsu, Krillin, Yamcha, Yajirobe and his own son, Campo. He also made it obligatory for all humans to learn ki manipulation, how to fly, fire ki blasts, and at least learn one style of fighting. It took many years of struggle before he was able to overwhelm humanity's laziness, but eventually he succeeded in instilling a need for strength in the people. Many, such as children, women, and the elderly, were left alone but were allowed to train voluntarily. Earth's technology saw rapid growth, with Capsule Corp using the technology gained from Brockhart's space pod, Scouter, and armor to revolutionize defensive and military technology. Each soldier in Brockhart's army was outfitted with a Scouter and Saiyan armor. The military had various levels of rank, the highest being Brockhart's Z Warriors, below them, the elite, below them, the mid-class, and below them, the low class. The Z Warriors had power levels over 5,000, none could join with any less power, then the elite, who had power levels over 1,000, then the mid-class, who had a minimum of 250. And of course, the levels ranked soldiers. With a power level of at least 50, Brockhart had trained extensively himself, taking advantage of the resources available to him. He used the Dragon Balls to wish for 10 bags filled with unlimited Senzu beans. He gave one each to the Z Warriors, one to his wife Bulma, who he asked to study the beans and possibly mass-produce medicine based on them, and he kept one with Mr. Popo, one with himself, and one with his elite soldiers to boost their training. One bag he hid away in the hyperbolic time chamber for safekeeping and just in case he needed to get inside it quickly but had lost his bag of Senzus or otherwise misplaced it. With unlimited healing ability, Brockhart's power skyrocketed due to his Saiyan heritage, though his training slowed down a little when he had to train his Z Warriors and elites. Not to mention he gave special training to his son Campo. His power was still growing at a massive rate, his potential seemingly unlimited. Speaking of potential, after the first year in his training, Brockhart felt that he hit a wall. He trained harder than ever to break through, but suddenly one day, he felt rage like never before. Fearing that he'd harm his loved ones, Brockhart refused to give in to the rage. Still, he had to continue to get stronger, so he asked Korin if they knew of anything that could help him. Korin immediately offered the king his ultra-divine water, a water that could unleash some of the drinker's potential, at the risk of the drinker's death. Brockhart, though, doubted that his Saiyan body would be downed by such a thing, had decided to drink from it. His power increased fourfold. Amazed, Brockhart wanted to drink more, but Korin refused, saying that the risk was too much. Brockhart after a while agreed and returned to his training. Bulma continued to increase the power of Brockhart's gravity room, but eventually she reached a limit. She told Brockhart that the material the room was made of could not take any more pressure and that she wouldn't be able to upgrade it until they found a stronger material. Brockhart became frustrated as the gravity became too weak for him. Eventually Bulma came up with the idea of wearing weighting clothing. Brockhart face-palmed at the very obvious solution. He had worn weighted clothing when he trained with Kami but had long since abandoned it as it was too light, and Bulma gave him his Saiyan armor Brokarat, using his powers as Guardian materialized. Weighted clothing, weighing a total of 1 ton before he entered the gravity room, that is. As the gravity settings were at 1,500 times gravity, Brokarat was soon smashed into the floor. Not willing to give up, he continued to train using the occasional senzu. Eventually, after a single week, he was able to move without a problem, so he continued to increase the weights on his clothing. Now, here we are, a seemingly normal family. Excluding the 2 monkey tails and the 8-foot towering man who sat at the table, eating breakfast, Goku was waiting for the day that he would be contacted by his race. From the programming put into him through his Saiyan pod, Goku knew that at the 21st birthday, an escort would come to the planet to retrieve the Saiyan and check to see if the planet was properly wiped clean of its population. They normally did not do this unless the Saiyan in question who was sent to the planet did not report back after the first 12 years. They would wait another 10 years or so before sending out a scout. Brokarat had long ago turned off his communication on his scouter, and only recently did he remember the procedure. He wondered who they would send. They obviously thought he was a low-class infant when they sent him to this planet. He continued to wonder how that could be when he was born with such a large power level, and he came in an elite's pod. Brokarat vaguely remembered a man with white hair placing him inside the pod. Could he have been sent out for his own protection? Surely the Saiyan King would not have heard him just because he had a high power level at birth, right? Shaking his head, Goku finished up his meal before kissing Bulma and Campo and leaving to the gravity room for his daily training. Before he arrived, however, he felt a presence, a power level, higher than that of his average elite. Something had just entered the planet's atmosphere. Shortly afterwards, he gained an alert from the planet's defense system of an intruder asking if they should fire. Brokarat told them not to. Dressed in his Saiyan armor, put on his scouter and flew out to meet whoever it is that decided to come to his planet unannounced. A power level of 1,200, quite weak in comparison, but I believe he would be considered mid-class in planet Vegeta. Raditz climbed outside of his pod and looked around. What the hell? Kakarot, you fool, you left the planet's inhabitants alive? What? Did they somehow defeat you? When I find you, you shall pay for this disgrace, said Raditz in anger. Raditz clicked his scouter in attempt to locate the highest power level. Let's see, 200, 400, what? 600? Another, this one is 900? How can this planet have so many with such high power levels? No wonder Kakarot didn't succeed. Wait, another approaches, 10,000. How can this be? Before Raditz could contemplate the enormous power, a giant appeared before him. The man was 8 feet tall, had black hair with a bluish tint, black eyes with a blue outline, and a green scouter and green and black Saiyan armor. Raditz was terrified. Never was he so afraid except when Prince Vegeta became angry. Who was this man? Wait, he sort of looks like Kakarot. Hello brother, it has been a long time, said Brokarat, face expressionless as he stared at his brother. He remembered his brother, who came to visit him when he was a child. He used to cry a lot, and got quite irritated by his own crying. Wait, what? Why do I remember myself crying from another person's point of view? Shaking his head, Brokarat waited for Raditz to respond. Kakarot, how have you grown so powerful? In fact, why have you left this planet's inhabitants alive? You were supposed to wipe out the planet's population and return to planet Vegeta years ago. Not that it even exists anymore. Did you hit your head or something? Said Raditz. Brokarat was taken off guard by that comment about his home planet. Before he ignored it so he could answer his brother's question, the name's Brokarat, not Kakarot. I think they changed my name before I was sent out. Regardless, I did not hit my head. I was raised by this planet's guardian. He taught me to appreciate life. I won't spend my life killing innocent people for the sake of some foolish tyrant. So if you came to retrieve me so I could work for Frieza, then you better turn back. I will never fight for that monster. No, I will kill him, said Brockeret passionately. Raditz took a while to reply, as he looked at his brother with something akin to appreciation. Before shaking his head, no brother, you cannot take on Frieza, he is too powerful. Your power level is only 10,000. And Prince Vegeta's power level is at 18,000 and even he can't face Frieza yet. Brother, I came here so you could join us. I can see that you've grown fond of this planet. There is no need to harm it. Frieza has long forgotten about this backwater planet's contract. With a power level like yours, you and Prince Vegeta can train together. Help each other get stronger so that we can kill Frieza and take his place as the rightful rulers of the universe, said Raditz. Slowly building up in excitement as he spoke, Brockeret stared at Raditz for a few moments before he began to cackle, then full-out laugh. After a few moments Raditz became frustrated. Why are you laughing? Said Raditz in anger. Ha ha ha. Oh yes, that was a good one. Let me tell you something, brother. I learned many things on this planet. One of those things were how to suppress my power, said Brockeret, causing Raditz to sweat. This isn't his full power. He can't be more powerful than Prince Vegeta. See, can he? Thought Raditz. Second thing I learned, brother, was that life is precious. Our race was barbaric, killing, pillaging, raping, taking the lives of countless people like animals. How dare you think I'd agree to something so low, said Goku with a fire in his eyes. Grr. Damn you, Kakarot. We had to do so. Frieza would have destroyed us had we not agreed to serve him. And I think he did. Planet Vegeta was destroyed one day after you were sent out. Me, Nappa and Vegeta were out on a mission at the time. Frieza told us it was destroyed by a meteorite, but I think he was lying. Frieza destroyed our people. He feared the Super Saiyan of legend would be born. We had to kill. Can't you understand, Brockeret? We gave into our instincts to survive, so that we could one day become strong enough to defeat Frieza. Join us. It doesn't matter if your power level is 50,000. Frieza is much more powerful. You'd kill for a time, yes, but eventually you'd grow strong enough to defeat Frieza. It's a lesser evil. Can't you see that? Said Raditz in frustration and guilt. Sure, he enjoyed a good fight as much as the next Saiyan, and if Brockeret were weaker than him, he'd have commanded him to kill a few Earthlings to prepare him for planet purging. But he did not enjoy it. He pretended to. Least he be mocked by those around him for being soft-hearted, but he never enjoyed killing a single soul. Brockeret looked stunned at the sadness in his brother's eyes, and the clear desperation. Before he smiled briefly and he spoke. Brother, don't worry. I'm stronger than Frieza. My power level is a lot higher than this. Trust me. Just look at this, Brockeret said before he raised his power level ever so slightly. Tick 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 was the sound made by Raditz's scouter as it stopped at a number. 500,000. How can this be? How can a low class be so powerful? Said Raditz. Before he smiled. Yes, you are the Super Saiyan of legend, brother. You will defeat Frieza. Yes, exclaimed Raditz in joy. Before a voice rang out from his scouter. Raditz. What are you doing? Why haven't you retrieved your brother yet? Said Vegeta, Prince Vegeta. You won't believe this. My brother's power level is over 500,000. I think he is the Super Saiyan of legend, said Raditz. Vegeta was momentarily stunned. Before he spoke calmly. No, there is no one more powerful than me. Especially not low-class scum. I am supposed to be the legendary Super Saiyan, fine, I'll be there in 1 year. Raditz, we will see your brother's so-called legendary power, said Vegeta calmly. And Raditz, said Vegeta. Yes, my prince, said Raditz, a feeling of dread filling him. Enjoy your last year of life, for you will die for your insolence. Suddenly Raditz's scouter exploded due to the sheer anger of the prince, causing Raditz to flinch. Brockeret just looked at his brother before he said, the prince is an arrogant fool. Come, brother, I will train you for this year and you will defeat the prince. And if, and only if he gets over his pride will I allow him to live. No one threatens my family, even if I haven't seen them in 2 decades," said Brockeret. Raditz looked in awe at his younger brother before smiling, and so they flew off together to train for the arrival of their Saiyan brethren. 6 months later. It has been a long 6 months. For Raditz, his brother had worked him hard, but the fruits of his training were showing. His power level skyrocketed with every beating his brother gave him in the gravity room, plus the miracle beans he seems to have an unlimited amount of. Raditz was shocked to hear about the Dragon Balls that existed on this planet. He tried to convince Brockeret to wish for immortality, but Brockeret brushed off his concerns, saying that they would not need it. Raditz wasn't totally convinced but dropped the subject anyway. The Z warriors continued to train and their power levels had risen into the 10,000s. Even the weakest of them, Chiatsu, had a power level of 10,000. It was today that something strange would happen. Red alert, red alert. Intruders entering Sector 9 of planet Earth. Instructions. Brockeret's scouter began beeping. "Don't fire. I will see to it," said Brockeret. Raditz looked at his brother and they both nodded, and went off towards the power level they sensed enter the planet. They reached the source just as a ship came down and the hatch opened, and a few creatures walked out. One looked human, another was a robot, 2 greenish creatures and a Saiyan. Well, it looks like we have a welcoming committee," said Turles with a smirk. "Can I kill them, boss?" said one of the greenish idiots. "No. They are Saiyans. What are you two doing on this planet?" asked Turles. "Wait, Raditz. Is that you?" said Turles with recognition in his eyes. Raditz also recognized his older brother Turles. "You are alive? I thought you died on planet Might? How did you survive?" said Raditz. Turles smiled slightly at the memory of the planet before he replied, "I found a tree as I was dying from fighting the planet's inhabitants. It was enormous. I was drawn to one of its fruits and I took a bite out of it. It gave me an enormous power boost. I then went on to kill the plant's inhabitants before eating the rest of the tree's fruit, and waited for it to grow more, but it wouldn't. I eventually came to the conclusion that it drew energy from the planet it is planted on to grow its fruit. Since then I've been going from planet to planet, planting the tree of might, hiring my own crew and growing in power so that I could defeat Frieza," said Turles. Brockeret, having been silent, decided to speak up. "You will not touch this planet, brother. This is my home and I am its king and guardian. How can you kill off innocent life to get stronger? You are as disgusting as Frieza. You are weakling. Prying on the power of others just to increase your own," said Brockeret. Turles was taken aback slightly. Before he laughed, "Ha, pathetic fool. This is the natural order of things. The weak die and the strong survive. They should be honored to be a part of me. Every planet I take is for a noble goal, is it not, brother? Those planets would have been wiped clean of life anyways by Frieza. Their energy might as well be put to use," said Turles with a hint of fake caring in his voice. Let me see how powerful this weak planet has made you, brother," said Turles before clicking his scouter and reeling back in shock. 15,000. How did you become so strong, Raditz? And 50,000. I'm impossible, exclaimed Turles in shock and horror. No, said Brockeret before disappearing and reappearing in front of Turles. It is very possible, he said before smashing his fist into Turles' chest and sending him flying off. Brockeret disappeared and reappeared in front of the robot before smashing its head in with his fist, before once again zoning out only to appear between the two frog creatures, grabbing them both from their heads and smashing their heads together. Raditz sprung to action, shooting a blast at the human-like alien who was vaporized in dust before he could react. After dealing with all the henchmen, Raditz and Brockeret approached Turles' downed form. Do you see, brother? Raditz 6 months ago arrived with a power level of 1200. He changed his motivation. He took the path of good and now look at him. Can you see? It is when you have something to care for, something to protect, that you truly become strong, exclaimed Brockeret. Turles looked up at his immensely tall younger brother from the ground, then he looked at his other brother Raditz, who spoke to him. Listen to Brockeret Turles, we are brothers. I understand our race does not value family like other races do. But I've come to see that it is family, kindness, and a desire to protect the innocent that truly brings out the power in our people. Yes, I know that we've destroyed many planets with people with similar views. But did they not die with honor? Are they not now, in heaven, brother, people like Frieza? They have no honor, no good, no morality. They are disgusting creatures. Where do you think Frieza will go when he dies? Do you want to end up the same way? Is it truly worth it? Join us, brother, in our struggle. Together we will destroy Frieza. In 6 months Prince Vegeta will arrive to challenge us. He will either die, or he will join us. Make your decision, Turles. Who will you be? The winner, or the loser? Said Raditz with wisdom he didn't know he had. Turles looked up at the sky. The dark sky filled with stars, and felt a sudden appreciation for its beauty. He had always been among the stars. Saw them countless times, but never quite appreciated their light. Maybe there is a better way, thought the 30-year-old Saiyan. I'll join you, said Turles. Before asking, but who exactly is Brockeret? I had a younger brother named Raditz. Did father have another child? Raditz let out a laugh. I forgot you were sent to planet Mike before Kakarot was born. For some reason he was renamed Brockeret before he was sent to this planet. Probably a programming error. He is our younger brother, and the most powerful Saiyan to have ever been born. Turles looked at Brockeret in awe, who simply smiled and threw a bean into Turles' mouth. Eat this, brother. Turles quickly ate the bean. Turles' injury faded away as if non-existent as he stood up, astonished at his new power. Amazing! He exclaimed, causing Raditz to laugh, knowing that he reacted the same way the first time he ate one of those beans. All right, brothers. Let's go. We have a lot of training to get to. By the time I'm done with both of you, you'll be running circles around our prince, said Brockeret confidently. 6 months later, the day of the Saiyan's arrival, another 6 months of training has gone by. Turles' power level rose from 12,000 to 65,000, while Raditz's rose from 15,000 to 45,000. They had been training hard. They reached 50 times gravity. The training was going slow as their bodies took longer to adjust to the higher gravities than Brockeret's did. Bulma had been given Turles' ship, and all the technology filled within it. Bulma was able to use that to increase their space military flight ship production by double the speed. The armors and scouters were also an updated version of the one Brockeret came with, so she used it to upgrade the scouters, allowing for extremely high-range communication and detection. The ships were able to move a lot faster due to the upgraded engines. Brockeret's private ship was able to reach destinations up to 3 times faster than his previous model. The Royal Army had become stronger as well, as new training equipment was used to increase the soldiers' endurance and power. The average power level rose, low classes power almost doubling to a minimum of 100, mid-class reaching a minimum of 2,000, and the elite reaching a minimum of 6,000. The Z warriors had also grown in strength. The humans' power level reached 20,000 for Chiatsu, 35,000 Tien, 26,000 Yamcha, 25,350 Yajirobe, 40,000 for Krillin, and Campo's power continued to raise vastly, though he hasn't measured his power level yet, wanting it to be a surprise. Brockeret, Raditz and Turles stood collectively with the Z warriors. The planetary defensive technology was able to redirect the Saiyan pods towards an empty wasteland. There they stood as the hatches for the pods opened and out walked Nappa, the general of the extinct Saiyan army, and Prince Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans. Vegeta, it looks like we have a welcoming party. Why don't we say hello, said Nappa, a big grin on his face. Yes, Nappa, why don't we? Now let's see. Vegeta clicked his scouter, before frowning at the numbers. Nappa, they're powerful. Take out the Saibamen. We will have to attack them all out at once if we want to defeat them. said Vegeta, anger clear in his voice that warriors from this planet have surpassed his general in power. Brockert looked at his brothers. Then at the Z warriors. He signaled them to wait as Nappa took out a vial and poured from it small drops of green ooze. Suddenly, out from the soil came 6 small creatures with red eyes, green skin and 2 sharp claws. The Z warriors looked on in disgust before they looked to Brockert once again. Saibaman, really Vegeta, do you think so lowly of my soldiers? Fine. Let me show you the power of my people, said Brockert before he signaled Tien to attack Nappa, Yamcha, Yajirobe, Krillin and Chaoitsu to attack the Saibaman while Campo took out the last 2 on his own in the blink of an eye. The 6 Saibaman were destroyed while Nappa had his head smashed into the ground by Tien, who was charging up a blast to finish the Saiyan general off. Before he could release, however, he was blown away by a blast from Vegeta, who then went on to attack the Z warriors. They fought hard but were unable to harm the prince, having been ordered to surpass their power to a 5th to keep the surprise. Eventually Vegeta knocked them all out except for Campo, who had stood aside with a smirk. Vegeta, slightly out of breath from fighting so many people at once, looked at the half Saiyan child, wondering what he found funny. So Prince, is this your full power? Because if so, you don't stand a chance against me, not even if I used only 1 finger, said Campo arrogantly, causing the prince to get angry. How dare you, son of a low-class scum, speak to me, the prince of all Saiyans, like that? I will show you true power, exclaimed the prince. Vegeta charged to full power, stopping at his peak of 18,000. Campo didn't even flinch. He saw a movement from the downed general and decided to get him out of the way. Kamehameha, Campo blasted the downed general into oblivion before he could get up. Brockert looked at his son, frowning slightly before nodding in approval. He had gone into the Saiyan's head. He was too far gone. He lived to kill. But Vegeta, he felt something inside the prince. He just hoped he could bring it out, or he'd have to kill one of the last remaining Saiyans in the universe. He really didn't want to do that. Vegeta finished powering up and looked at the 3 Saiyan soldiers and the half-breed standing before him. He knew they were powerful, but his pride just couldn't accept it. How could low-class scum surpass him? The prince of all Saiyans? It was just unfathomable for him. No, he would prove them wrong. Well, who's going to fight me? Said the prince. How about all of you at once? He said with arrogance. Brockert looked at his brother Raditz before nodding in the direction of Vegeta, causing Campo to frown as he wanted to fight the prince of all Saiyans. I will. You and Nappa bullied me, Vegeta. Yes, I was weaker than you, but we are the last of our race, yet you treated me no better than Frieza and his minions. For that you'll pay. I'll teach you that with the right motivation. A low class can surpass even the elite, youth. Lol, exclaimed Raditz with fury before he charged at Vegeta and punched him in the gut. Vegeta quickly recovered as he and Raditz exchanged blow after blow. Eventually Raditz gained the upper hand and smashed Vegeta into a mountain. Vegeta came out later only to charge straight at Raditz and smash his knee into his gut. Raditz groaned in pain before he had his face smashed into the prince's fist over and over. Vegeta continued to hammer Raditz with blows before growing tired and smashing Raditz into the ground. If that's the best you have, then you are hopeless. I admit you've grown stronger, Raditz, but you'll never surpass me, said Vegeta. Raditz merely stood up, wiping the blood from his face before laughing, causing Vegeta to become confused. Before the earth began to shake as Raditz raised his power level up to 20,000. I'm not even using half of my power, Prince, exclaimed Raditz, causing Vegeta to move away from him slightly, only for Raditz to headbutt Vegeta, breaking his nose, followed by numerous hits, kicks, knees. Raditz demolished the prince completely, leaving him dazed. Before he cupped his hands beside himself and began to chant Kami Ha, screamed Raditz as he released the wave that overcame Vegeta quickly. Vegeta lay on the ground, barely clinging onto life, not quite registering what had just occurred in the past hour. His general was defeated by a human, and killed by a half-breed. Then he was defeated by Raditz. Raditz. Of all people, how can this be? Was he not the Prince of all Saiyans? Was he not destined to be a Super Saiyan? Brockhardt, Turles, Raditz and Campo walked up to the downed prince. Before Brockhardt spoke, "So what will it be, Vegeta? What do you want to do with your life?" said Brockhardt. Vegeta simply stared up at Brockhardt. "Can it be? Is he truly the legendary Super Saiyan? My people died by Frieza's hands. And these 3, no, these 4 are all that remain. Can I let go of my pride? Can I accept that I am not the legendary Super Saiyan?" thought Vegeta as his life was slowly slipping away. Finally, Vegeta came to a decision. "You, Brockhardt, are the legendary Super Saiyan. I have lived my whole life in humiliation. I, a prince of the greatest warrior race in the universe. I no longer wish to live. Please, Brockhardt. Please defeat Frieza, avenge our race. And I, Prince Vegeta, hereby name you, Brockhardt, son of Bardock, king of the Saiyan race. You deserve it more than I. Goodbye, and make our race proud," said the prince, tears coming down from his eyes. Never had he thought that he would ever accept defeat, that he would ever let go of his pride. But now in the drunkenness of death he can see as clearly as ever. He lived a pathetic life, serving Frieza, throwing away his pride instead of dying like his people. Who should have spit in Frieza's face, but no, he held on to life, and threw away his pride. He does not deserve to live. Does not deserve to be the prince. As the last wisps of his life slipped away, Prince Vegeta had no delusion on where he would end up, but before the last of his life left him, he looked up to the sky and prayed, "Forgive me," he pleaded to whosoever would hear him. "Forgive me and hear." Vegeta, the prince of all Saiyans, died. The death of a true Saiyan. In battle, Brockhardt was moved. He didn't know what to say. "Vegeta," he said quietly, a few tears falling from his eyes before he took off his bandana, one that he had worn as a tribute to his father since Raditz had described him to Brockhardt, and dipped it in Vegeta's blood, changing its color into a dark red. "By your blood, I swear, to uphold the pride of the Saiyan race. To defeat Frieza, King Cold, Cooler, anyone who takes the life of the innocent, who humiliates those weaker than themselves, I swear it. By your blood, I will be the king of all Saiyans," shouted Brockhardt. Raditz, Turles, and Campo all stood before their father before they kneeled with their arms over their chests. "All hail King Brockhardt, the king of all Saiyans," shouted Raditz. "All hail," shouted Turles and Campo together. A week had gone by since the death of Vegeta. Brockhardt had buried the prince in the royal palace garden. A few days later, he was contacted by King Kai, who asked him to come to Otherworld so he could speak with him. After an hour, he reached King Kai's planet. After teleporting to Otherworld from the lookout using his status of guardian, King Kai went on to tell him that Frieza was heading towards planet Namek, which had its own set of Dragon Balls, and that Frieza had planned to use them to wish for immortality. Brockhardt had taken the coordinates from King Kai, who had also made Brockhardt promise to come by for some training. Before returning to Earth, he called upon the Z warriors, leaving only Turles, Raditz, Yajirobe and Chiatsu on Earth before leaving on his ship towards Namek. It would only take about 2 weeks with his ship's capabilities. He did not use his gravity machine, but he did set it up to 20 times Earth's gravity so that the Z warriors could get some training on the way to Namek. Brockhardt sighed as he looked outside the window of his ship. "I guess the time has arrived, Frieza. I am coming for you," said Brockhardt as his ship blasted through space at amazing speeds. Turles' ship, and all the technology. Hey, I hope you did enjoy, and thank you guys for the support. Please like and subscribe if you like any of my videos.